Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome to Game Time with Eric Kahnert, live from the News 8 Right Now studios. As a former athlete and longtime youth sports coach, I'm here to bring you the big sports stories and make your young athletes stronger, smarter, and ready for the next level. Many of you know I'm a big hockey fan. I started skating at 4 years old. I busted out this front tooth here playing hockey in college, so when I found out there was a new hockey team coming here to San Diego, I was pretty amped about that. We have a rep from Frontwave Arena's Sports and Youth Community Relations team here to chat about the new minor league hockey team coming to Frontwave Arena in Oceanside. That's happening very soon. Also, have you heard of reclassing? 8th graders who utilize a gap year before high school to get ahead athletically. We're going to dive into that topic. And we're teaming up with the San Diego Prep Insider to get the big high school matchups this week. And it's playoff time. We're going to give you some shout outs to some local athletes who are doing some big things out there. But first, North County, get ready for hat tricks, sellies, dangles, and brawls in the barn. That barn, of course, being Frontwave Arena. Joining us live now in the Right Now studios, Chasen Edow, Director of Sports and Youth Community Relations. Chasen, thanks so much for coming in here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And when I talk about a barn, look, Frontwave's no barn. That's a beautiful barn if that place is a barn.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Hockey coming to Frontwave, Oceanside. Walk us through this big this idea that came to light here and when we're going to learn more about this hockey team.
Yeah, we're excited to bring hockey and ice to North County, San Diego. You know, I know we were talking a little bit earlier. Our owner, Phil Salvaggio, he's the owner and coach of the San Diego Sockers. You know, he had this grand idea to bring ice up to North County, started talking with representatives from the Federal Prospects Hockey League, and here we are. We're going to be starting hockey here in the fall of this year.
Yeah, so FPHL, this is minor league hockey. This is what, level A?
Yep, single A hockey.
Single A hockey. These are guys that are done with high school and maybe not heading off to college. There's some talent there. These are guys that are moving up in the world of professional hockey.
Absolutely. We'll recruit guys from high school, from college, from former players, right, in single A and other hockey leagues, Canada, Europe. I was just talking to the rep from the league. We'll have an expansion draft and tryouts. So
nice.
There's a number of ways to get involved as a player. So stay tuned for more information.
Yeah, we're looking at some of the video. I mean, look, everything you'd expect from hockey, big sellies, you got crowds, you got people going nuts. The nice thing about the location of this is, look, it's not as far south as Pechanga where we see the Gulls, not as far north as where you might catch a Ducks game, right in the middle, right?
Yeah, we fill that void, right? There hasn't been a minor league professional team in North County, San Diego, and here we are. So we're excited to kind of bring that flavor like you talked about. The commissioner the other day at the press conference, and it's a very physical league, meaning some fights, right? Some physicality, which people love.
These guys are trying to cement what kind of player they are on their teams. Are they an enforcer? Are they a brawler? Are they a fancy, stick handling goal scorer, right? They're trying to build their resume, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's a lot of talent coming through this league. It's expanded, right? It went from 15. It's going to be expanded to 18 teams this season. Yeah. So San Diego, Fresno, and Stockton will be the 3 new teams on the West Coast. Yeah. It started in Midwest and East and made its way down south. Now it's heading over to the West side.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about how this impacts youth sports here in San Diego because, look, we're getting a fresh sheet of ice. We're getting more and more kids interested in playing hockey. Talk a little bit about that impact on how this could have an impact on youth sports.
Yeah, we're going to create a lot of youth sports opportunities, whether it be a youth hockey team, right? Or have, host camps and clinics with our players and just provide ice times to existing teams as well, too, in North County. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Field space, gym space is tight as it is,
right.
And then you get to the hockey side where there's a lot of maintenance involved with ice. We'll be able to host a lot of youth clubs there, which we're really, really excited about.
Yeah, that'll really help out as a former hockey coach, longtime hockey fan. I know there's arena at the Kroc Center. There's one in San Diego Ice Arena in the Mira Mesa area. one over in Poway. We got one in Carlsbad. We used to have 2 sheets of ice in Escondido, but that place kind of dismantled. It's no longer there. So we need hockey rinks for youth hockey here. I think a lot of people are going to be pumped to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to have one in Oceanside, right, is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned it's a beautiful barn, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Haven't even been open 2 years, and state-of-the-art facility will be really, really special for those youth players to.
Yeah,
to
people have been to concerts. I was able to take in one of the NBA D-League games there. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. So let's talk a little bit now about the name of this team. What can we expect and how people can weigh in on this?
Yeah, we're currently taking suggestions on our website, frontwavearena.com. We've already had some interesting submissions, a lot of beach themes, a lot of winter themes, combined. Riptide was one of them. Ice Dogs was one of them.
That's good. I like that
We've
one.
had killer whales and orcas. I don't know if we want to tap into that SeaWorld space, but
right. It can come with controversy.
Yeah, some interesting ones. Some not so family friendly ones.
Okay.
Remember, a family friendly venue.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit edgy. That's a good way to put it, Eric. But you can submit your suggestion. We'll keep it open for about another week to 2 weeks
to get those in.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's talk about being involved with hockey now. That's not just something where, we lay down a wrestling mat, right? Yeah. I mean, you guys got to put some money into this, right? I mean, I've seen ice be laid down before. You've got cooling pipes you've got to put underneath, and the boards. There's a lot that goes into this. You guys are ready to tackle this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a process, right? Yeah. We have the basketball court, ready to go. We have our soccer turf. Our ops team
because the
Clippers,
they're going to be coming in and out of here.
Yeah, no problem, right? But ice is a different story. You got to bring the temperature down to, I think it's 52 degrees, something like that.
Sounds
in the building,
right.
And then we're making modifications as we speak to the venue. Our chiller, and then a Zamboni, of course, right? So there's a lot of moving pieces
and
here.
It can't be a boring one. People
Not
want, cool stuff on there, maybe a little seats they can ride around in.
Yep. We'll have some fan experiences where you'll be able to hop on that Zamboni,
That's great.
Tap into.
And you were talking earlier, Chasen, about how this is going to be a community team.
Yep.
You want the community to be part of this. They want to be heavily involved. Talk about how you're going to be handling that with the players.
Yeah, and the league really strives for that. We strive for that at the arena with our Clippers team and with our soccer team, and now with the hockey team. I mean, it's all about fan engagement for us. That goes into theme nights, that goes into giveaways, and then getting to know our players. Right? You can watch these guys on the ice and then go up and sit in our lounge and get to know them after the game. So we'll create those opportunities for fans to build relationships with our players. That way. It garners support for our guys.
Oh, I think it's definitely going to get a lot of support. Chasen, appreciate you coming on. Is there a website people can go to learn more and get the votes in?
Yeah, you can always follow us on socials. FPHL San Diego is one of our handles. Frontwave Arena is one of our handles. And then you can always go to frontwavearena.com. One-stop shop for our sports entertainment.
That was Ice Dogs. I kind of like that one.
Yeah, not bad.
We got some creative folks here. We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chasen, thanks for coming in. Let's get you back when we get more developments. Thanks
Sounds
for coming
good,
on
Eric.
the show.
We appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, best of luck. Coming up here, to reclass or not, lots of athletes, especially boys, redoing their 8th grade year, treating it as a gap year to get an edge on athletics. We're going to talk to a high school varsity coach and former NFL player about this trend. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Game Time with Eric Kahnert. Right now we're diving into reclassing. If you have a youth athlete in middle school, you've likely heard about this. It's an option for parents to give their typically 8th grader a gap year or a redo the year at home or a sports academy before heading into high school as a freshman. I spoke with Del Norte varsity football head coach and former NFL player Nick Barnett about this. You may have watched him when he was on the Packers. He also runs Praxis Elite Sports Academy where kids can attend their gap year. And here's his thoughts.
So the reclassing or gap year, however you want to call it, has been very popular in the last couple of years, not just for academics. I think a lot of families and parents are starting to see the value of bringing a kid in a little bit more mature, mentally, physically, academically, to start their high school year. I'll tell you 4 different ways of why kids do gap years. Number one, maturity, right? there's a lot of kids and a lot of parents that know their kids are not mature enough to be successful that first year of high school, right? They just throw them in the fire. You can throw them in the fire, right, if you want to. But a lot of kids that care, parents, they're like, okay, no, I want to give my kid a year to learn, to get bigger, to get faster, stronger. We have kids that haven't reached their maturity physically yet, and they want to play ball. And give them a year to work on that, to get bigger, faster, stronger, and at the same time, they're doing it here too, okay? We also have a kid who had an injury that was, a year recovery. Gave him an opportunity to do a gap year before he starts his high school, to be able to get healthy. We got kids that don't reclass that are just 8th graders that want to get stronger before they go to high school too. So there's a lot of that, but the gap year has been very big this year with a lot of parents and a lot of, we got people that want to reclass at 7th grade just so then they go back to their school. Every option is on the table for them. We request your records from your school. It's the same as when you transfer from another school. You basically transfer over to our school. Then we go through the process of, filing the correct documents to the county, to the city, doing all that you've enrolled into our school. And then, we go from there. We get your report card, see where you are academically, and try to fit those holes, fix those holes. If you have any holes, if you don't have any holes, we're trying to put you on a ladder and make you go even higher. It's the same as you transfer to any public or private school. You got to request records and go through the process. Just be real, in football, our average age of high school athletes that get scholarships is 19. It used to be 18. You just turned 18, right?
Those are a lot of reclasses.
There's a lot of reclasses. So if you look at how many guys have been offered actual D1 offers and look at their age and look at if they reclass, the majority of them have reclassed. If you put your best foot forward, it helps you be able to achieve your goals are more attainable. The majority of the parents that we've had, it's been more of a I want to give my kid a year to mature mentally and physically. Thinking that we're going to get a D1 scholarship from doing this is now I won't say far-fetched, but getting a D1 scholarship in general is like hitting the lottery. I always say do your research, see what fits for you. Does it work for your son or your daughter, and make those decisions then. But I will say this, there's no negatives from it except for the fact that they might not be able to go to school with, their friends that they were going with. They're going to go to school there. They're just going to be one year down.
All right, I want to touch on that. Some other disadvantages to reclassing, according to psychology experts. The cost. Some of these sports academies can be tens of thousands of dollars for that gap year, so be prepared for that. And being isolated from your larger peer group. These were your classmates for a long time, right? For a whole year, you're not with that entire class that you grew up with. You got your new buddies, your new friends at whatever sports academy you're in. And then listen to this. A University of Massachusetts Boston report warns of the dangers of athletic identity foreclosure is what they call it. It says placing an 8th grade student into an exclusive sports environment before they reach high school can narrow their psychological identity too early. But like Coach Barnett says, it's up to the parents and their athlete to decide what's right for them. Taking another quick break. Keep it right here. We will be right back with more Game Time with Eric Kahnert. Welcome back, everyone, to Game Time with Eric Kahnert. Let's find out what some of the big high school prep games are this week. It is playoff time right now for varsity baseball and varsity softball, and some great matchups ahead. We want to get the playoff picture and who the prep star athletes of the week are. There's a long list. Let's check in with the SD Prep insider, Christian Peterson.
Right, like crunch time, you get your best ball, you get some amazing matchups, and it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, the playoffs, you got to look at the open division. I want to support everybody, but the open division is the biggest and the baddest and the best of them all. On the baseball side, it's David and Goliath. All season long, Cathedral Catholic has been nationally ranked. There's conversations about, are they the best team in section history? And now we're going to find out. And you don't want to necessarily distill a team down to a 1 or 2 game sample size for their legacy, but that's where we're at. If these guys are as good as everybody thinks they are, It's time to prove it. And we're going to, in the first round of this, potentially get some Padre Nepo baby battle between Yu Darvish's son pitching for Cathedral Catholic and Ruben Niebla's son pitching for Southwest El Centro, which I don't know what that means, but it's a fun subplot to follow. I'll give you my like sleeper sort of picks that I'm looking at. Torrey Pines in the Division I boys playoffs, I think, are criminally underrated even at a 4 seed. I think they should have been in the open division. They have been charging very hard in the second half of the season. They play a very tough schedule. They are going to be very, very good. In the Division II playoffs for the boys' side, I got the San Pasquale hat on. You know, I'm either just poorly fashion coordinated or I'm rooting for them. So shout out to San Pasquale. D3, Brawley versus Mission Bay is, I think, what it's going to come down to there. And that's a pair of teams that played a really tough. I'm big on challenge yourself, have a tough schedule, and see how it winds up, because as opposed to scheduling a bunch of tomato cans, just beating up on squads and then looking at your shiny, pretty record.
Good stuff. Softball playoffs, are we done with that, or where are we at with that?
Softball playoffs are just starting as well. Let me pull those up for you. For softball, open division is now, what kind of a dynasty are we looking at for Mater Dei Catholic? They have been in the open division championships basically every year that the open division has existed. They are again the number 1 seed this season. It's kind of interesting, though, in the open division on the girls' side, seeing where, like, not that baseball and softball are supposed to be a 1-to-1 analog of like the same schools should be good at both, but the open division exists in very different geographical regions for softball than in any other sport in terms of open division. You've got Bonita Vista, you have Imperial, you have Point Loma, Escondido, Charter, and as I said, Mater Dei Catholic. So a lot of schools that are not even D1 in other sports are open division in softball, and I think that just speaks to how deep the talent level here is in San Diego. With the regular season over, I think we should shout out the leaders in some different offensive categories. For this regular season, we talked about Tyler Hoff last week from Calvin Christian. He finishes the season with a .688 batting average, number 1 in the section. Home runs, we talked about it last week, ended as a 3-way tie between Circuit, Glick, and Jace Costevens. I don't know who Jack Costevens is. I don't know why I said that last week. I'm an idiot. Slugging percentage, Tyler Hoff wins that one from Calvin Christian again. RBI leaders, go. You want to take a guess? Tyler Hoff. There we go. Another one. That guy had himself a great season. Runs scored, Jace Costevens. You're sensing maybe a pattern here that some of these kids had some monster years. On base percentage, Tyler Hoff from Calvin Christian. Stolen bases, we will actually be able to break that up a little bit. We had Avery Gonzalez from Borrego Springs. Over to the softball side, we had a late week surge here for the last week, and Cadence Wewell from Southwest El Centro wound up taking the championship belt home. I don't know if they give out a championship belt. I don't know why I just made that up, but she took home the championship belt. 14 home runs for her this year. There was 6 girls with double-digit home runs. J.C. Taylor from La Jolla was right behind her. J.C. Taylor, though, also won the titles for RBIs and slugging percentage. I don't know what it is this year with, like, repeat category winners, but you see between baseball and softball, like, a couple of kids just decided to absolutely catch fire this season.
And congratulations to all those athletes. Some impressive statistics. Man, Southern California, a hub for softball and baseball. You can bet there's going to be some scouts at some of these playoff games, especially this Cathedral Catholic versus Southwest El Centro game that Christian was just touching on. That's the Darvish versus Niebla game. There's definitely going to be a lot of eyeballs on that. Thanks for your eyeballs here right now, and thank you, Christian, for that Prep Insider report. We have more game time coming up here after a quick break. Hey, welcome back to Game Time. Let's turn to the big boys here now. Major leagues. The Padres wrapping up the series against the Dodgers. This is the rubber match, Game 3 here. First pitch is at 5:40 p.m. at Petco Park. But this comes after that late error helped L.A. win 5-4 last night. Here's News 8's Jake Garriani to show us.
Into the ninth, Mason Miller trying to keep it a tie game. There's your big moment. Miller had Alex Call leaning. Instead, he throws it away. Call would get all the way to third. He would come in on a sacrifice fly. That would be your difference. Dodgers take this one in a heartbreaker for San Diego. They win 5-4. So now the standings are back to this. The Dodgers a half a game ahead of San Diego in the standings, followed by Arizona, San Francisco, and the Colorado Rockies.
Just when we were getting used to being ahead of the Dodgers, right? They squeaked back ahead of us by a half game. But the first baseman, Ty France, he's got to get out the bag, be a little more nimble in that type of situation. I want to save this story for you here. The St. Louis Cardinals, boy, they had a little extra help over the weekend in back-to-back wins against the Kansas City Royals. Get this, a college baseball team started this trend of removing their shirts, waving them as they sang, chanted, and brought other men into the mix. Look at him go there. This is awesome. St. Louis Cardinal manager Oliver Ollie Marmol loved the energy of the crowd on Friday night, gave the team tickets to return on Saturday night as well. He said, quote, "Whoever started that whole thing in right field, I'll do whatever I need to make sure they come back every game." That was what the manager talking had to say. He said it was awesome, not only for them, but everyone that showed up. It looked like it was a fun environment. That's going to do it for us on Game Time with Eric Kahnert. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.